This show is proudly brought to you by the #Me Network.
Bits of Awesome, the Retro Gaming Podcast.
Alright, welcome to episode 1 of Bits of Awesome.
Awesome.
Last week we sort of had our episode 0 where we talked a bit about ourselves.
Too much about ourselves.
It's always cool getting those stories out though.
We're just such interesting people.
Exactly. Anyway, I'm Phid McAwesome, and on the line, as we will be doing every week, we've got Evil Card.
Down in the dirty Timaru.
And we've decided we're going to start off every week with talking about who is king of the picks this fortnight.
King of the Picks.
Me. It's me.
Hey, what was your pick?
I tell you, I had a doozy Facebooky group thing. Original Xbox, 3 controllers, and 19 complete games for a ridiculous, wait for it, $40.
$40, that's a good price.
What a steal. Would have paid that for the games alone. System all working, excellent.
What controllers were they?
The 2 originals, like the sort of fatter looking ones with the big X on them.
That's the S controller, is it?
Oh, I've got no idea.
I can't remember what the code is on that one.
It's comfy, like Xbox controllers are. Much superior.
Yeah, it's the big fat one that had the easy to break cable on it.
Probably, yes.
Yeah, I've got a couple of them myself, and I think the cables are broken on both of them. $40, that's an awesome score.
Yeah, mate. So what for you? I threw down the challenge to the King of Picks, and what have you picked up over the last fortnight?
Okay, my best score easily outdoes your one, bro.
Nah, no way. Not for $40. Nah,
right.
What is it? Go on.
You're a Street Fighter fan yourself?
Yes, of course. Who isn't?
Yeah,
Best fighter out there.
So I picked up Street Fighter 2.
Yeah, well, nothing special about that. I got both CIB for the Mega Drive.
Okay.
Was it the Master System one?
No, it's not the Master. No, God, that would definitely be. That would easily crown me as King of Picks if I got the Master System version, though, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I might have to hit eBay for our next one.
Yeah. No, I picked up Street Fighter 2, an arcade machine, for a whopping $150.
Wow. Really, $150?
$150, and what's even better is I got it from out of town, so I sort of calculated into that thinking $150 for a machine. The screen's not working on it, which is why I got it so cheap, but I know a guy locally who I can get a screen from, but I sort of calculated $150, that's a good price. Add in, say, $60 to $80 for gas to get down there with a ute and pick it up and bring it back. So it still worked out to be a good price, I thought. But I had a mate just so happened to live literally 3 houses down from the guy I bought it off, who was coming up to Hamilton anyway to buy a car.
Nice.
So he literally drove down the road in his ute, chucked it on the back, drove back down to his place, and a couple of days later drove up and dropped it off at my house.
Awesome. That on. So I see you may wear the crown for one more round.
One more round, I am king of the picks.
It's just, these arcade machines are a dark art. It's kind of like you said last episode, retro computing. You know, where does that begin and where does it end?
Yeah, see, I consider the arcade side of it definitely retro gaming, but in saying that, it's also more of a novelty. I've got no plans on filling my shed with them.
You say as you sit there with your full shed of arcade machines.
Oh, no. I currently only have 3 arcade machines. I've got
three more than the common.
Well, I've got a big 53-inch Namco unit, and I've got 2 boards for that. One's Tekken 3 and Tekken Tag Tournament.
Nice.
In my lounge, I've got... Now, this one here is an exquisite piece of New Zealand machinery, this one.
A fountain.
No. I've got a Malzac machine. This was only made in New Zealand and only released in New Zealand.
And was it made for fish and chip shops in New Zealand?
Pretty much, it was a fish and chip shop machine. I've since I bought it, I actually spoke to a guy because I'd never heard of them before, so I did a bit of homework on it. I spoke to a guy, funnily enough, the same guy who owned the arcade machine that I used to go to every week as a kid, like at the age of 6 or 7 years old.
Wow. So you think you'd get your 20 cents back? Then you just gave him more money.
Well, I spoke to him about it because I didn't buy the machine off him. I just spoke to him about it because I happened to bump into him one day, and he was saying that same machine. He said, like nowadays they're rare as hen's teeth because back when they first came out, the people that owned the arcade machines didn't like them because the build quality of them was just crap. Apparently,
crazy. You think you look at those old ones, or the ones that I remember, and they had kids swinging off them. Imagine if one of those collapsed while you're hanging onto the joystick.
Yeah. So I've now got 3 machines. One I've still got to get a screen for. Hopefully by the next episode I'll have a screen for it, so I'll be able to tell you how awesome it is having a Street Fighter machine working in my lounge. Oh,
great. Just rub a bit of salt into my wounds there and dry old Timaru at the moment.
You have had a dry couple of weeks. Oh, at least a dry week.
Dry fortnight, really. The Xbox pick is the only thing I can think of that's worth talking about.
Yeah.
Hit up every garage sale on the weekend, even went to the Timaru market, so it's once a month, and you're almost guaranteed a PS2 or an Xbox title at those things, and nothing. It's just, this grandma, she's beating me down, but I won't be defeated. I will, next week, be the king of picks.
Only because we've got a whole show to do this week, we won't really go into it, but one week we've got to actually tell this story of this grandma that you keep talking about.
Yeah, I think so. A story for another day.
Yeah.
And she will get hers, I tell you.
See, I've had a fairly dry fortnight as well, apart from the arcade machine, which got dropped off actually 2 weeks ago, so it only just fits into the fortnight. The weekend just gone, I picked up PlayStation 1, which normally when somebody says to me, I've got a PlayStation 1, do you want it? I'll say, oh, don't worry about it, mate, because I've got a stack of them.
Yeah.
Because they're sort of in that era at the moment where everybody's got one.
Yeah. They've given the consoles away, but by crikey, those games are skyrocketing in price.
Oh, they are at the moment.
Shit, unreal.
Normally I'd turn it down. However, when he showed me it, I sort of noticed the one thing that any retro gamer sort of knows about, and it was that this machine was the audiophile PlayStation 1.
Nice. Still don't have one of them myself.
No, so do a bit of homework. If you haven't seen one of these already, it's a very desirable unit because apparently the audio quality that comes out of them is actually better than some $900 CD players that came out. So there you go.
Very good.
All right, we should move on to our first proper segment after that, and that is the news. Now, how are we going to do a news segment talking about old machines?
Well, there's plenty of old news we can talk about. Timaru, we're still buzzing along down here. It is the 1980s. It is the 1990s.
Well, I'm
happening every day.
Well, I'm just down the road from Huntley, which has still got a Decker, so we might be able to actually pop down there and buy the new Mega Drive when it comes out.
Looking forward to
it. No, in all seriousness, in the news, we've had E3, which we talked about briefly in the last show, and one of the cool announcements they made during that was Mario Maker.
I will finally be able to pass a level in Mario by making my own level. How cool, though? Make your own Mario.
Exactly.
Biggest downside? It's on that console that no one gives a fuck about.
Exactly. The Wii U. Only reason I even have a Wii is because it came up at the right price.
See, I still, until only a few months ago, thought the Wii U was an additional controller piece thing for the Wii.
Didn't realise it was a whole new console.
No, and no wonder they were never marketed that well here, were they?
Well, I've actually spoken to the marketing team in Australia for Nintendo. I rang Nintendo. The best piece of information I can give you from that phone call is the hold music that Nintendo of Australia use is level 1 of Mario. And that was the coolest bit of information I got out of that phone call. But the guy over there actually said to me, in his own words, we actually don't care about the New Zealand market.
Oh, I just don't think Nintendo have ever really cared at all. Like, they released the Wii, for God's sake. You should have asked for an apology.
Yeah. I demand you apologise for the Wii.
So E3, back to news, because, man, we can gas back, but E3, Mario Maker for Wii U, for those 3 people in New Zealand with Wii U's, they must be excited.
Yeah, do you think that Nintendo are capitalising on the popularity of retro gaming by bringing this game out?
Yes, without a doubt. It's the only market they've got left. I think that and children.
Yeah, the one cool feature I did see on it is the levels you can design. You can hit one button and transition the level you design between the old 8-bit NES version and the 16-bit Super NES version of Art.
Yeah, and I think it does the latest version as well. I haven't looked too much into it because it doesn't really faze me too much. But also what is interesting is the release date isn't until next year.
Yeah, well, that was quite a lot of games that were announced at E3 were announced as 2015 releases, which was strange.
Well, you think, with the Wii U, in saying that, although it's not popular here, the few Nintendo players out there will be going, yes, it is, but it's not really that popular here. It is still really popular in America. They've got a massive chunk of that market. The Americans love it.
So another reboot that was announced, it was actually the release date they're speculating could actually be further. They're speculating this one could be released in 2016, purely because the CGI trailer they released for it was so short. And that was a reboot of an old Xbox game, Phantom Dust.
Yeah, see, I'm going to come out like a right noob here. You said old Xbox game. I can't remember it being on Xbox. I can't remember it at all.
I actually can't remember the original as well. And this is the weird thing. I'm going to have a look through my games and see if I even own it. But I had a lot of friends who were Xbox guys. During that era, I was definitely a PlayStation guy.
Yeah, see, I was more Xbox, but I still, the game, it doesn't ring any bells.
Yeah.
People are going to hate me, but I just, no idea, no.
No, it doesn't ring any bells with me, but they're saying that by the time it actually gets released, we may have forgotten about it anyway.
Yeah, well, by that time we may have had time to look up what the hell the original was all about.
Here we go. Here's a bit of news then that you do know the character from very well. Sonic the Hedgehog.
I love him. I love Sega Sonic.
Because I think me and you were Sega guys during the 90s.
Definitely. Sega all the way.
Yep. Sega's speedy video game mascot Sonic the Hedgehog is going to star in his own movie. The film, produced by and in collaboration between Sony, 22 Jump Street producer Neil Moritz, and a Japanese company, Maza Animation, are going to combine to make a live-action and computer animation movie to tell the story of Sonic.
Dear God, no. Make it stop.
Is this going to be a good thing?
I think it'll be good for Nintendo now. There's still Sonic games coming out, and I've said this so many times, I shudder every time. I've got my DS, but I've got Sonic. I've got a Game Boy with Sonic. No, you don't. You don't play Sonic on those consoles.
See, I feel the same way, and I think it's because we were we grew up in the era where Sonic was Sega and Mario was Nintendo. The two should not ever be combined. I think in my heart, the day that they had the first Sonic versus Mario game is the day that Sega truly died for me.
Alex Kidd would be rolling in his fucking grave.
Yeah, I mean, and that was, honestly, to me, that was the moment where Sega died for me.
Yeah. And it comes down to that old thing, like, Sonic for me is Master System, Mega Drive, to a certain extent Game Gear. It was, it became the mascot after Alex, and I just bad feeling. I think, the movie might be good, who knows? I'll have to watch it for the kids to see, but anything new Sonic, it just gives me the shits. Is this the one where he's got the real long legs and he looks all out of whack?
Well, this is what I'm sort of assuming. I reckon that probably will be the case, but they'll base it on the Sonic Boom characters.
Oh, God.
I mean, naturally they're going to want all of their branding to be the same, aren't they?
If they want to do the character any favours, go back to how it was. Like, I just don't. Yeah, this whole new thing, not my thing. Good to see Sonic still making some sort of comeback on the big screen. That's cool. There's going to be some kind of Sega spin-off for Sega is whatever's left of that company. Cool. But holy crap, just let it die maybe.
Okay, what do you think of the upcoming movie for the book Console Wars, though?
I think that's a good thing.
I actually
really
can't
thing.
wait to see that film. I've been, the book hasn't been released here in New Zealand, but I purchased the audio book.
Purchased?
Yeah, I actually purchased this.
You're going to have to link me because I haven't yet. I was going to wait and order myself a copy of the actual book. But no, I think this is going to be a good doco. Well, is it doco styles?
Well, this is the thing. I listened to an interview on a podcast the other day with the author of the book, and he said they're actually doing two things. There's going to be a cinematic film about the story made, and by the sounds of it, it's going to be very much done from the point of view of Sega.
Yeah.
Because the book's very Sega heavy. Paint Sega very much being the underdog trying to beat the big boys. And by the sounds of it, they're also filming a documentary.
Yeah, I'm all for docos. It depends who's playing, and I'm not a huge movie person anyway, but all for docos. I'm all for this whole Console Wars book showing, that Sega was something. So I don't know, it'd be interesting anyway.
And the last piece of news, which is going to lead nicely into our main chunk of our podcast this week, is we talked about it last week, and it is Mortal Kombat 10.
I'm excited. Play all the exciting sirens, get your confetti guns. This is where it's at. I'm a massive Mortal Kombat fan. This is good. The trailer is amazing. What I've seen, I like.
There was three franchises that in the late 90s I was passionate about. It was Street Fighter, Silent Hill, and Mortal Kombat was the other one.
Ooh, Silent Hill outing Resident Evil there. That's another show, I think.
Yeah, that could be. And Mortal Kombat was a big one. I was a huge fan of it. I loved Mortal Kombat 1, I loved Mortal Kombat 2, I loved Mortal Kombat 3. I owned Mortal Kombat 4. I'm not saying I loved it, but I owned it.
Yeah, the 3D-ness, when it first came out, I remember being shocked.
What is it? And I even owned the Sub-Zero game, and what was the other one? Was it...
Deception was the Xbox and PS2 version?
No, there was another side-scrolling RPG that they did. There was the...
Yeah, Deception had that mode built into it. It's a story mode.
Yeah.
Type of thing. And you played as, should have refreshed my memory because I've got it for Xbox. I can't remember his name, but you play some guy and you go through all the realms and all that. There's been a few as well, though, like not Deadly Alliance. Is it Deadly Alliance?
Yeah, Deadly Alliance I actually liked the story mode in Deadly Alliance. I'm one of the few people I know that did like it because there's a lot of people that didn't.
Yeah, see, I liked it. It added a different dimension to it. I can't say a bad thing about Mortal Kombat, except probably Mortal Kombat 4. But, that series is one of my favourites, without a doubt.
Yeah, I actually think they really got their feet back with Mortal Kombat 9, or as Ed Boon prefers to call it, what does he call it, Mortal Kombat 2011?
Yeah, that was good. That was
definitely, they rebirthed it, went back to their roots of, even though it's very much a 3D game, it is a 2D fighter. It's from the direction of background and, a side-scrolling fighter.
I remember the first time I played Mortal Kombat 4 thinking, what a load of shit. I was brought up on Mortal Kombat. My friend was like, I've just got the game for PC. And I was like, okay, I'll give this a go. And fucking hell. Still can't believe it now. Ugh.
And saying that, Street Fighter went through that same sort of weirdness at the same time where they had sort of EX plus Alpha come out and that wasn't that great. And
yeah, I think it was, that stage where there were a lot of different consoles out and they were all trying to fight for, yeah. Anyway, Mortal Kombat 10.
And so Mortal Kombat 10's out. We both love it, don't we?
It's
not out. Sorry, it's not out. It's going to be out next year. There's no specific release date yet.
Yeah, and I think this for me, like in terms of new gen, yeah, I like Grand Theft Auto 5. This will be the next one that may even convince me to buy a next gen console.
This is the game that has actually given me permission from my wife to buy the next gen console.
Ooh, that's a bit cool.
Well, see, I got excited because they're going to be finally releasing GTA 5 on the next gen consoles, and I said to the missus, awesome, it's coming out, I'm going to go buy an Xbox One or a PS4. I haven't made my mind up which console I'm getting yet. And she was sort of like, oh, you know, you've already got it on 360, you don't need it. And then the Mortal Kombat 10 announcement, she was like, no, you can buy it.
Nice.
But in saying that, it doesn't get released till next year, so I may even still be waiting till next year to buy my next-gen console.
Gives you enough time to save, mate, that's why.
Which leads us nicely into this week's main topic, which is Mortal Kombat.
Press start.
Fight!
Game review with Mortal Kombat 1.
Mortal Kombat 1. We're not going for 2, 3, 4, anything else. We're just purely talking about 1. And you've done a bit of research this week to sort of lead us into it.
Yeah, look, we could have gone for the full bag here, but let's face it, the game started here. It was the first, probably, you know, arguably the best. A lot of people were going, no 2, no 3, nah. You know, but anyway.
It's also the game that defined the difference between the two console companies.
It was also the game that pretty much started why games now have ratings.
Exactly.
Mortal Kombat was the first game to get an M rating. And it was because all of a sudden the authorities or the red tape people go, holy crap, games are violent. So they thought, oh, let's have a look here. So some little points here, because I did some research. 8 months it took to make. 8 months.
Was that the original arcade version?
Well, now you're asking hard questions. Didn't they get ported on every console, this one anyway?
Yeah, and I do know it was the first game to get ported from arcade to console in under a year from its release.
And it would have to be because, you know, undoubtedly the popularity of Street Fighter is probably what birthed Mortal Kombat.
Oh, definitely.
Now, 6 of these months, it remained unnamed. Some of the names it may have had were Dragon Attack, Death Blow, or Fatality. There's also a weird Japanese name that I'm not going to embarrass myself by trying to pronounce it.
And it wasn't originally planned to be a standalone game, was it? It was originally going to be a franchised game of a movie.
Yes, the movie being Universal Soldier. Now, they'd worked it out that Jean-Claude Van Damme would star in it using, you know, the more realistic people sort of style
motion
fighter
capture.
They did. And so Johnny Cage is actually based around the Bloodsport version of Jean-Claude.
Yeah, and the irony being that Jean-Claude then later went on to play Guile from Street Fighter in possibly the most horrendous video game to movie conversion ever.
Yeah, that's another story in itself, and I'm sort of weeping a little bit thinking of Belgium playing, you know, the American hero Guile. It's just, ugh.
There's so many things that were wrong with that movie, though.
Yeah. And then the other little bit of trivia, which I didn't know because I'm not a Nintendo person. Down here, Nintendo's as scarce as hell. The only Nintendo I touched as a child was an NES that a Canadian friend of mine had because he brought it over to New Zealand. But the Nintendo version actually had no blood, it was sweat, and the fatalities were less violent.
Yes.
Sweat.
Well, I can remember this being the big difference. I had a friend, and this was an intermediate, which, what would you say that for any international listeners, middle school?
Yeah, 10 to 12, isn't it? Or is it 12?
Yeah 10 to 12. And he was a Nintendo guy. and I was a Sega guy, and of course, naturally, we had the playground arguments of whose machine was better. Well, I've got Mario. Well, I've got Sonic, because Sonic's faster, but I've got a better sound chip in mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Sega does what Nintendo don't.
Yes, the classic. That's true. But anyway.
But when Mortal Kombat came out, it sort of blew a hole in a lot of his arguments where he was like, it's the best machine. And I was like, yes, I've got Mortal Kombat with blood.
Yep, damn straight. Now, with this week, we were challenged, or we kind of challenged each other to play through as far as we could, or at least give it a bang. Now, what console of choice did you take this week?
I went for across 3 consoles because I've got the original on 3 consoles. I played it on the Sega Master System, the Sega Mega Drive, and on the Super Nintendo.
Nice. Now, I was lazy. I do have it on all the consoles I own, but only went with the Game Gear version.
Oh, well, this is going to be interesting then.
Yeah, so out of your ones, the best. Mega Drive?
No, this is sort of where it's funny. As much as I would say the Genesis version or the Master System, Mega Drive version was better because it had the better fatalities and it had the blood, which, coming from the arcade version was cool to have all the features there. I would go on a limb and say that the Super Nintendo has always been a better game for fighters. I just think it plays better on the Nintendo.
Dear God.
I know. Middle school me hates me right now for crossing sides and saying that. But I honestly think it played a hell of a lot smoother on the Super Nintendo. What did surprise me though was when I played it on the Master System. Generally with the Master System, a lot of your memories of what those games were like are nothing like it when you go back and replay it. So I played the Super Nintendo version first, I played the Genesis version next, then I went and played the Master System. And
you should have worked your way up.
I should have worked my way up. I should have gone 8-bit and then to the 216-bit ones. But the Master System version actually wasn't that bad. You didn't have as many characters to choose from, and off the top of my head I can't even remember which characters they were. I apologise. But
you're upsetting hardcore gamers here.
I know. You don't have as many options. The graphics are definitely dumbed down. The movement is a lot more jumpy. But when you take into account that it is a pretty primitive 8-bit machine, it was a pretty good conversion.
Yeah, and I found the same with the Game Gear. I just didn't have time to plug in the Mega Drive. I would have loved to, because once I start on there, I don't stop. But the Game Gear version, now for an 8-bit handheld, the gameplay, again, like the Master System, a little bit jumpy. The controls definitely funky, because for the love of God, the start button on the Game Gear is block. What? Yeah, I know, right? No pause. Well, no pause that I could work out. Anyway, to go from that, the moves, the Game Gear, I think you're familiar with it. You know how they kind of got a sharp edge on it?
Yeah.
Now, if you try doing like the rolling, the down, diagonal down, forward type of thing, your thumb gets really sore trying to roll that D-pad on that thing.
Yeah.
And I found graphically pretty damn good considering what it is. Again, like the Master System, and it's probably a direct port of the Master System, but the biggest thing I missed, the sound.
Yeah, well, there was no vocal noise at all. I don't even think it says fight.
Nope, it doesn't.
Yeah.
And that, for me, it took away what really made that game. The Toasty dude doesn't even appear, or if he does, there's no noise with it.
I don't think Toasty appeared until Mortal Kombat 3 anyway.
No, I think it was 2, because I was tapping out on 2 on the Game Gear as well, and this little blurred head doesn't even look anything like him, pops up, no noise, which, but yeah, for me, the Game Gear version's good. It's definitely good to have a port of that game on console, but, to lack the sound, it's pretty horrible music. There's no fight, and that's part of the nostalgia for me. Part of what made that game great, even, is the sound effects.
Yeah. See, when the game first came out, did you own it?
Yes, I own Mortal Kombat 2 on Master System.
Okay.
It was one of my original games, actually.
See, as a kid, I owned it on the Master System, and then my dad, after the Mega Drive had been out for a few years, he bought us a Mega Drive, and then after the Sega CD or Mega CD in New Zealand, after it went off the market, because let's be honest, it never took off here, did it?
Nah, not at all.
The video store sold it to my dad, including the entire library of games they had for it. So the Mortal Kombat 1 that I had was actually the Mega CD version.
Wow.
Which played almost exactly like the arcade version. And
Yeah, see, I've never played it, never had a Mega CD, so I wouldn't know.
yeah, so me and my brother used to beat the crap out of each other on that, and we used to have, it was cool because none of our friends had the Mega CD, so they used to come around and play it at our place and use us for our machines. I'll be your friends because you've got a Mega CD.
Yeah, and see, I think I probably did the same to other people to try borrow good games.
Now, I've got a little factoid about that version, though. Do you remember the song that came out with the trailer for the movie Mortal Kombat?
Yes.
I think everybody will know that. The very techno-y...
Yeah, yes.
Now, that came out around about the same time as Mortal Kombat 3, if I'm not mistaken.
Probably. I've got not. You're telling the factoid.
Yeah. So, it came out a long time after Mortal Kombat, anyway.
Yeah.
Now, that song was actually on the CD of Mortal Kombat 1 on the Mega CD. If you took that CD out of your Sega CD, put it into a CD player, skip the first track because the first track was the game data, it actually had about 6 songs made from music and made from sound effects and stuff from the game, including that song that ended up being on the soundtrack of the movie.
Crazy. Now, that'd be to do with how late the Mega CD release was.
I'd imagine so. But I know it was certainly before the movie was out because I can remember us playing the song and thinking, oh my god, this is amazing. None of our friends had ever heard the song before. And then when the movie came out, we were like, oh, we've already got the song.
Nice. Now, what were your thoughts, just quickly, not to take away from the movie, because there was the movie as well.
I love the first movie.
Yeah, I like the first movie as well. I think I'm going to rewatch it this weekend.
I may try and do the same thing, but I fear it'll be the same as going back and playing an old console. It won't live up to my memories.
It can't be as bad as watching Street Fighter again.
Oh, no, I'm not going to do that to myself. Or playing the Street Fighter game that was based on the movie.
So would you go as far as saying, with Mortal Kombat, the greatest fighting series?
I don't know. I actually don't know. I think for depth of story as well as gameplay, it's right up there. I mean, it was one of the first games that gave you more than just sort of a little bit of a backstory. It gave you an ongoing saga of the characters. I mean, you know what each character has done between the games, going on to the next game, where they were before the first game. Whereas with Street Fighter, when you started it, you pushed start, you selected your player, and you went on, and then at the end, when you clocked it, you got this really short sort of story at the end.
Yeah, see, I think for me, it's hard for me to call what would be the best, if it would be the greatest fighter or not. I think it'd have to be definitely up there, and it's probably up there with Street Fighter for me. I think they're still too different for me to separate.
Exactly.
Equal first.
Yeah,
for different reasons.
I would agree 100% with that. As a kid, I owned both games. When I go to arcades, or when I went to arcades back then, I played both games. I didn't choose one over the other.
Yeah. See, I was definitely Street Fighter first. I think it was that kind of realistic sort of scariness about Mortal Kombat that really drew me to it.
Yeah. And like I said, we alluded to earlier, Mortal Kombat 4 was sort of the only time I sort of went, really?
Yeah, I still cry thinking of our Quan Chi and all that. It's just, yeah. But what do you reckon? Can you pull off any of the fatalities? And if you can you call what the combo is now?
I cannot remember them for the life of me. I was playing it last night on Mega Drive, and I was actually, my son walked in and he was like, "Oh, Mortal Kombat, I want to play with you, Dad." So we started playing each other, and we got to finish him, and I couldn't remember the code.
See, I even tried on Game Gear, sat there with my fucking sausage fingers, tried these fatalities, and I had to sort of Google them to work out, and I just can't hit them. I'm getting old and slow. I remember it used to be able to pull them off on Mega Drive, but holy crap, it's like I'm full of spiderwebs.
Yeah, see, I can remember being able to commit all these moves to memory as well as a kid, but in saying that, this was before the age of cell phones, where I also used to be able to commit more than 2 phone numbers to memory.
Yeah.
So I think if I played it a bit more, I'd be able to do it. I might actually start jamming that Mortal Kombat a bit more after, I only chucked it on purely because we were doing this show this week, so...
Yeah, and I was sort of lucky. I picked up the games for Game Gear, got them there for the Mega Drive and Master System. I'm still searching for... the only ones I need now for Mega Drive is Ultimate Mortal Kombat 3. I need it to complete my Mega Drive Mortal Kombat collection, and also the Tech Toy release of 3 for Master System.
Yeah, well, that one there you're going to be paying through the nose for.
Yeah, dreams are free, I reckon.
You never know. I also would have told you the same thing if you'd asked me about whether a Master System from Brazil would pop up on Trade Me, but lo and behold.
Turns out they do occasionally.
So anyway, I think if anyone has any questions or wants to correct us on anything, where can they tweet us?
Oh, they can tweet me at evilcud to be ignored, or they can fire all constructive feedback to at FidMcAwesome.
Also, you can tweet us anything about the show to at #RadioNZ. And if you want to see our scores from our picks and any random games, including, you've got a dedicated gaming Instagram. I've sort of got a shared one between my real life and my gaming. So,
what's a real life?
That thing you're doing between games and Facebook.
Ooh, no.
So you can find me on Instagram anyway at FidMcAwesome.
And me at gaming_cud. But also we do want to hear your ideas on how we can make this into something big, something unique, and something for the New Zealand retro gaming community, as well as international gaming community. So do fire through all ideas. I may not reply, but I'm taking the feedback on, and so is Phid.
Yeah, definitely.
We're ignoring all of it.
For the international listeners, New Zealand sort of was a bit of a unique place, and we got a lot of stuff from Japan that never got released over there, so they may have some good questions for us.
Yeah, definitely.
Anyway, subscribe to the podcast as well. You can find all the information on our website, #me.co.nz. That's the word hashtag as well, not the hashtag.
What about my hashtag?
So #me.co.nz, and I think that's us for another week.
Yep, I think it is.
Alright, remember to hit save.
#me.co.nz